how often have you guys heard about keeping your head still or trying to keep it down? For me, it's less so about focusing on that still head, but more about what the body's doing. So for me, I like to try and feel as though my body's being a bit more centered throughout that takeaway. So as soon as your head moves, so does your spine angle. So if I was to put this club over here, you can see that there's a bit of weight transfer onto my back foot and that spine angle is moving to the side. More so, I want to be focused on being a bit more pinned down, a bit more centered here. So then when I rotate, I'm pivoting around one point, which results in much more of a still head. So a great and very simple way to practice this is, there's multiple options actually. You could either, set up with your club and just lean your head onto a wall so that when you do move to the side, you can feel that your head's moving. And if I show you side on, same thing, if your head was to move down, you can feel that resistance onto the wall. So that's a great way to have a bit of feedback to try and stay a bit more centered. Another way, if you do have the luxury to hit some balls in your back garden, you can definitely get a camera set up and try and put it down the line. And you can very much, focus on making sure that your hips are staying within these walls rather than moving side to side. So it's all about being nice and stable and centered, pinned around the spine angle versus that lateral shift that we don't want. I'm going to talk about the gasp. G stands for grip, A stands for aim, S stands for stance, and then we've got P, which stands for posture. So when it comes to the grip, everyone's very different. Your arms hang differently, and I quite like to have my left hand on the club first, and I just like to allow it to sit naturally, and ideally you would have a few reference points where you got that V created pointing on your right shoulder, and then after that you kind of just naturally have your right hand on top of it, and I very much like the cushion of my hand to wrap that thumb around. So again, another reference point here is either the two knuckles in the left hand, or you got the V over here with your right hand, which can kind of point towards between your right ear and your right shoulder. So that's a really nice way to have a nice neutral grip, and it's important to focus on a neutral grip because you don't want a strong one or a weak one, because that would just encourage a lot of manipulations that you don't want. It's just too confusing. So we've aced the grip. I like to have it in my left hand, grip my right hand onto it and walk into that shot, which is where we work on aim next. So basically you want the grooves of the clubs nice and perpendicular to your target line. And again, this is where the alignment rod comes in nice and handy, because I can see what's dead flush, nice and square for me to make sure that's absolutely correct. And the next one is stance. So once we've got that grip right, we've got that aimed perfectly. For myself personally, I quite like a 7 iron to be shoulder widths apart. So the mids of my feet, pretty much spot on with shoulder widths. And you can even mark up your alignment rod to make sure that you're practicing the same thing over and over again. So you've got some consistency into your practice. So once you've got that sorted, you've got posture. So you want to be nice and athletic. You want to feel free, ready to go, ready to unleash. So put all those 4 things together, you're ready to swing, and it's definitely something you can practice. You can walk into it, try and make it as realistic as possible, make it consistent, mark up your alignment rods, and then you've got some consistent practice there. So this is a super easy drill that you could do at home. I've just stolen my dog's towel here and just rolled it up, and this drill is pretty much to practice your balance, your stability. So trying to encourage a lot more stillness in the lower body, trying to be as stable and as balanced as possible whilst we still have that bit of freedom in the upper body. So like I said, I've rolled up my dog's towel onto the floor, and then all I do is step onto it. So you can see that I really need to be well balanced between that heel to toe ratio throughout the stroke. I don't want to be falling forwards and I don't want to be falling back. And if you want to get a little bit more technical, feel free to add a gate in front or have one of those mirrors that you see a lot of the pros putting down just to check your eye line. But this is a really simple drill to practice your setup, consistent setup, and also work on your balance at the same time. So we'll give this a little demonstration. So you can really feel that your core is kind of activated, your lower body's super still throughout, on the way back and through. And then it's actually a lot harder than it looks, but a really simple drill that you can definitely do at home. A bit more of a game format this time. The first 3 days we've had a bit more technical practice. This time this is a very easy thing that you can set up at home. Ideally 3 balls, and I've just used 3 post-it notes here, one at 3 feet, 5 feet, and then 8 feet. So just to give you an idea, if you go base the numbers off the tour stats, so from 3 feet it's pretty much a given, 99% make, and then from 5 feet it goes down to 80%, and then from 8 feet it's a 50% make percentage. So that gives you a rough idea on what we want to expect. So all I want to do is basically focus on trying to roll the golf ball over the post-it note. Imagine it's the hole. So of course there's no hole there, so wherever it ends up, it gives us a great reference for speed control as well. And I like to hit 30 balls, 10 balls to each post-it note, and just see how many you can get. So great game to play within your household. So first one to 3 feet. You'd expect to make this one. There we go. And again, 1 foot pass, and I'm going to try and do the same thing for every single one. And then we've got 5 feet here, 80% make. So if I'm hitting 10 balls, I'd be happy to make 8 out of 10. And you can, get out onto the golf course eventually once this lockdown's over and do this on the green. And then we've got 8 feet, 50% make. Can we do it? Pushed it a little bit. So really fun game. Challenge everyone else in your household and see what score you get out of 30 balls.